Our protagonist Yotsuya, a middle school student, arrives at home and starts playing a video game. Every day he spends his time like this and prefers to stay alone. But because of this, his homeroom teacher often advises him to get some friends or else he will have a hard time surviving in his future high school. Yotsuya ignores him and continues his life like this. One day, after school, the homeroom teacher gives a lecture to Yotsuya for not submitting his future plan. Like every time, he advises him to find a career and become social. Yotsuya is getting bored and wants to go home early to play some games. He notices two of his classmates talking. He finds it weird for students to stay up this late at school but continues to listen to what the teacher is saying. Finally, the teacher ends his lecture and tells Yotsuya to submit the future plan by tomorrow. After the teacher left, Yotsuya tells the classmates to leave because today he is in charge of locking up the class. However, as he turns, there is no one. Suddenly, strange things start to happen. A butterfly net appears and falls on the ground. Outside the class, a small girl runs by while laughing. The blackboard starts to get filled with flowers. And then, Yotsuya's body starts to disintegrate. A few seconds later, he finds himself in a different world, with very weird-looking animals. Shindo and Hakozaki, the two classmates from earlier, joins him. Yotsuya believes he is in a dream, but just then a half-head man calling himself the Game Master appears. Yotsuya tries to ask about what is happening to him, however, the Game Master ignores him and gives them a quest to complete. The three of them have to complete the village chief's request within 14 days. After every completion of the quest, new members will join until they complete the 10th quest. Shindo was the first member to join, followed by Hakozaki. As per the spinning wheel, Shindo becomes a witch with a specialty in wind. And, Hakozaki a warrior. And this time, it's Yotsuya's turn. The Game Master spins the wheel. As the wheel is spinning, both Shindo and Hakozaki are praying for Yotsuya to get a warrior. But unfortunately, he becomes a farmer. Everyone is depressed and wonders how they are going to survive. After the Game Master leaves, Shindo explains how she and Hakozaki end up here. She was the first one to join, and after completing the first quest, she returned to the real world. As per the Game Master's instruction, she met Hakozaki. And in the second quest, she also joined. This time, after completing the second quest, as per the instruction, they were waiting for Yotsuya. Yotsuya still believes that this is just a dream, but then Shindo warns him to not make this mistake. The Game Master told her that, normally they will revive after 30 seconds. However, if everyone at the same time dies, they will die for real. Yotsuya is a bit worried. He asks if she knows who the Game Master is. Shindo reveals that the Game Master is from the future and that's all she knows. After it, Shindo guides Yotsuya and teaches him how to navigate through the settings. As instructed, Yotsuya squints his eyes to see the stats and weapons he possesses. However, he is devastated to see he has a hoe and a sickle. On the way, Yotsuya finds a log point. Shindo explains that by touching it, they can see a bit of their past interaction happened at this location. Suddenly multiple goblins appear. Yotsuya takes out his sickle and attacks them. But his weapon is not suitable. Shindo provides backup, but her magic is weak. They all are very low level and that's why their attacks are not dealing enough damage. Scared Hakozaki, instead of fighting with her sword, she threw it. Yotsuya tries to pick up the sword but couldn't because they are only allowed to use their own designated weapons. Yotsuya takes out his hoe and tries to attack. But, the goblin smashes his face. Yotsuya dies, but after 30 seconds, he revives. Yotsuya comes up with a plan. Using Shindo's magic as a distraction, he attacks the goblin. But in exchange, he also dies. Soon Yotsuya revives. And after it, they get rid of the remaining goblins. At night, they camp a little away from the forest. Yotsuya takes the initiative to guard, while Shindo and Hakozaki sleep. In the forest, he defeats the goblins that were nearby. However, he suddenly hears Shindo scream. He rushes there and finds the camp is on fire. He is terrified to witness Hakozaki's half-body and Shindo getting eaten alive by a big monster. Yotsuya starts to remember that if they all die, they will die for real. So he grabs Hakozaki's half-body and keeps on running until he finds a safe place to spend the night. The next day, even after reviving, Hakozaki's right arm is not regenerating. Hakozaki reveals that her arm was eaten by the monster, and maybe that's why it's not regenerating. Yotsuya fears that if this is true then probably Shindo will not come back unless they kill the monster. With him being a farmer with no attack or magic power, he has to find a way to complete the quest with Hakozaki. And then maybe Shindo will come back. They go to the village to complete the quest. And as they enter it, everyone starts to call them heroes and thanks them for coming here. In this game by default, the NPC will immediately recognize them as the heroes and will treat them accordingly. From there, they go to the village chief and request the job they have to do. The village chief shows a paper and tells that they have to protect the village from the troll. Yotsuya is in shock to see that it is the same monster that ate Shindo. He keeps on thinking about how to defeat it. Because he finds Hakozaki useless, he doesn't want to rely on her. Even though she is a warrior, she cannot defeat even a single goblin. So, Yotsuya decides to go to the forest to increase his level. Hakozaki wants to tag along to support him. However, Yotsuya doesn't want a burden and tells her to stay in the village. Yotsuya goes inside the forest and starts looking for goblins. Soon, he finds multiple goblins and starts defeating them. However, one injured goblin manages to escape. Yotsuya didn't chase after him and let him escape. He looks at his stats and notices his rank has increased to level 9. However, Yotsuya looks further and is frustrated to see that if he had defeated the injured goblin, he would have gotten to level 10, and as a reward, could have changed his occupation. Just then, a notification pops up indicating Hakozaki has died. Yotsuya is in a panic. He looks and finds that the whole village is burning. He rushes there and notices that Hakozaki is not reviving, which means just like Shindo, the troll ate her. Yotsuya starts to fear and is extra cautious, because no matter what he should avoid death. In the middle of the village, he finds a log point and touches it to see the past. Inside it, Yotsuya got to know that Hakozaki has an illness in the real world. As a result, she is not able to engage in physical activities and finds herself a burden on her parents. But since in this world, she doesn't have any illness, she wants to try hard and help her party members. Yotsuya starts to feel bad for the things he thought about her. Soon after the troll attacks the village, Hakozaki sacrificed herself in order to protect a child. Back in the present, the troll appears, and Yotsuya starts to run so that he can avoid death. But the troll catches up and throws him away. Yotsuya lands on the river and reduces the fall damage. However, the troll is just behind him and starts to attack like a frog. Yotsuya dodges the attacks, but he is getting exhausted. He finds the injured goblin and attacks him. With it, Yotsuya's rank increases to 10 and everything suddenly stops. The game master appears and spins the wheel. Yotsuya prays for something strong where he can use a blade. However, this time he becomes a chef. Yotsuya is disappointed but then realizes he can use the chef's knife. Along with it, he got a chef's skill, which helps him in seeing edible parts inside a living creature. The time resumes and Yotsuya attacks Troll's stomach. And just as he expected, both Shindo and Hakozaki revive. The troll is getting exhausted with too much blood loss. So using this opportunity, Yotsuya attacks the troll but the skin is tough and he is not able to deal any damage. Shindo and Hakozaki also attack. But they all keep on dying and reviving. Yotsuya comes up with a plan and as the troll attacks them, he gets inside the stomach through the wound and deals some damage inside it. The troll kills Yotsuya, however just as planned Shindo goes up the top of the troll and uses her magic to blow air inside him. With this, the troll is defeated. After it, the game master appears and congrats them. As for the reward, he asks Yotsuya what he wants to ask. Yotsuya thinks for a moment and asks what will happen after they complete the 10th quest. The game masters show them a vision, where a city is destroyed and they are fighting a dragon. Soon after it, they return to the real world. None of them understand the meaning of it. Yotsuya looks at the time and notices it is the same as when they left. Shindo tells that the next quest will probably start in a few weeks and by then they have to wait. After it, they all go to their homes. After a week, at night, the game master instructs Yotsuya to head to his school. Yotsuya reaches his school and goes inside the girls' restroom. However, the sight is not normal. Yotsuya panics and asks the game master if there is some mistake. The game master tells Yotsuya to save the girl in the glasses. Yotsuya understands his mission but doesn't know how to approach the situation. The girls are freaking out. One of them points the camera at Yotsuya and threatens to leave or else they will upload this on the internet by tagging him as a pervert. Yotsuya understands that if this happens, then he will get in trouble. So he snatches the phone and snaps it in half. The girl is devastated. After it, just to be careful, Yotsuya breaks every single phone. The bullies are terrified and run away in fear. Yotsuya, acting like a hero, approaches Yuka, the girl in glasses. She is very creeped out to see a boy in a girl's restroom at this time of the day. But anyways, thanks him for the help. On the way, Yotsuya is still feeling very proud of his bravery. However, the girl is creeped out and wants him to leave her as soon as possible. After walking her for some distance, Yotsuya goes back to his home. At his home, Yotsuya suddenly returns to the game world and reunites with Shindo and Hakozaki. But this time, Yuka is also there. She is totally confused and stares at Yotsuya as if he is a stalker. Just then the Game Master appears and Yuka freaks out even more. The Game Master spins the wheel, and Yuka becomes a witch with a specialty in heat magic. After it, they receive the fourth quest where they have to deliver certain goods to Rei Dodorbo in 40 days. Yotsuya asks about what exactly are the goods, but the Game Master leaves without answering it. After it, Yotsuya greets Yuka. But to his surprise, Yuka thinks he is a stalker. She shares what happened at the school with Shindo and Hakozaki. And after listening to it, they also creeped out and ignores him for some time. Suddenly, a gigantic bug falls behind Yotsuya. A centipede comes from it and starts to throw bugs at their faces. One of them hits Yotsuya and he immediately dies. Shindo is the next one to die. Yuka comes forward and tries to help, however, even before releasing the magic, all of her MP exhausts because she tried to use a spell that exceeds her current capabilities. And she also dies. Yotsuya is revived and starts killing the bugs. He tells Shindo to stay back since her magic is not effective against them. The centipede charges at Yotsuya. Yotsuya gets on top of it and starts to cut off its legs. And soon, the centipede is without any legs. Since Hakozaki is not strong enough to use her sword, Yotsuya holds the sword with her and kills the centipede. After it, they go back to the village that was destroyed by the troll. A traveling merchant sees them and stops by to greet the heroes. After talking with him, they realize that it has been 5 years since the village was destroyed. This means that time is moving 130 times faster when they are in the real world. Hakozaki starts to worry about the boy and hopes he is alive. Yotsuya asks about Rei Dodorbo. The traveling merchant opens up a map and tells them the place is at the edge of the continent. If they leave today at a horse, it would take them 30 days. Yotsuya realizes they have very less time, and they have to immediately leave. Shindo requests the merchant if he can lend his horses to them. However, he refuses because they are important for his work. He tells them about a martial arts tournament about to start in a nearby town, where the winning prize is 3 horses. Since the tournament will start in a few days, they all go to the forest to level up. Yotsuya senses something in front and alerts everyone. Suddenly a group of bandits appears and attacks them. Yotsuya takes out his knife and hits a bandit. However, the Game Master reduces Yotsuya's experience to level 8 because he hurt a human. Yotsuya realizes this is a huge disadvantage, and with no other choice, they all run away. However, Shindo sacrifices herself to slow down the bandit. The 3 of them didn't realize this until they reach a certain distance. Yotsuya doesn't want to waste any time saving Shindo, and tells them to complete the quest and Shindo will automatically be saved. Hakozaki and Yuka are against it and don't want to abandon Shindo. So, Yotsuya decides to participate in the tournament and tells both of them to save Shindo. After they left, Yotsuya realizes that no matter what, he always gets into a position of being alone. A few hours later, he is notified about them being caught by the bandits. With no other choice, Yotsuya decides to complete the quest by himself. He increases his chef level and gets to level 10. The next occupation he gets is a wizard who specializes in creatures. The day of the tournament has arrived. Yotsuya is ready to take on his opponent. However, in just a few seconds he is defeated. His opponent Kahabel, captain of the night. She greets Yotsuya and tells him that it's her honor to fight the hero. Yotsuya requests if he can take the horses because of his mission. Kahabel doesn't mind giving them, but in exchange she wants him to help her in defeating some monsters. Yotsuya realizes that this is the right moment to get the horses and saves his party members. So he tells her about the bandits. Kahabel agrees and makes the deal. They plan to attack at night, so before it, Kahabel decides to improve Yotsuya's sword skills. After training for hours, Yotsuya has gotten better. But due to his occupation as a wizard, he cannot improve any further. At night, after the rest of the knights arrive, they begin their plan to strike the bandits' hideout. After arriving at the location, Kahabel initiates the attack. Yotsuya with his improved reflexes takes on the bandits. And because this time he is dealing the damage after he is hit, the experience is not reducing. The bandits are in a panic as they lose their men. So, they decide to open up the cage and release their ultimate prisoner. As soon as the cage opens, every single bandit runs away in fear. The ultimate monster is the Berserker. With enough strength to take on multiple people, Kahabel decides to take on the Berserker herself. With the Great Sword of Annihilation, she charges at him. Even with an obvious size difference, she is able to withstand Berserker's attack. However, she is soon exhausted and her sword is thrown away. As she is about to get attacked, Yotsuya comes and blocks the attack. But in the process, his blade is snapped in half. Yotsuya then realizes that with his new occupation, he has the ability to persuade creatures with just words. Using the skill, Yotsuya tells the Berserker that someone behind him is going to attack him. The Berserker, as per the words, looks back and releases an attack at an empty ground. And while he is distracted, Yotsuya attacks him. But in just a single hit, he is split in half. However, Kahabel uses this opportunity and defeats the Berserker. After it, they defeat the remaining bandits and release Shindo and others. The next day, as an appreciation for helping the knights in defeating a strong group of bandits, Kahabel decides to officially escort all of them to Rei Dodorbo. Consider liking and subscribing this channel if you enjoyed the recap. Have a wonderful day ahead.